Alrighty, it's been a minute since I did one of these. Middle March now. Just came out here with the paint marker. Marked out the whole perimeter of the plot I'm gonna do for 2020, and I got this marked out so the guy with the tractor with the big rototiller on the back can come out here and till it all up for me. Like I said before, I'm gonna leave the stuff from 2019 and I'm just gonna cut it off and see what comes up. I have all this tilled up. I'm gonna form these 4 rows out all the way to in between these stakes. I'm gonna add a 5th row over there. That 5th row is gonna be all indigo. This down right here, it's gonna be 2020 cotton. I'm probably gonna plant all the holes in there as well, or I might not. I'll see how I do. And this little 4-foot strip on the outside of all of this is going to be trap crops. So I'm having the guy till that up too. I'm gonna form this into a very shallow bed, or at the very least I'm just going to dig a trench on either side with the hoe to give me a little bit of a ditch so I know where to stop weeding. I'm gonna plant this in, trap crops. So zinnias, buckwheat, sorghum, rye, what else? Oh, cowpeas for the most part. Stuff that stink bugs would much rather eat than cotton. And then I'm going to keep all of this mowed, at least 2 mower passes, so about 6 foot on either side. And that'll also help keep stink bugs out. And we're probably just going to keep all of that and all of this mowed anyway, and this right here. So really I'm just mowing on that side more than normal. So I've got all my fertilizer bought, got that all queued up. After looking at the soil results from both the unplanted plot and last year's plot, soil hasn't changed much. If anything, I actually improved it. The amount of manganese, the amount of boron, and the amount of potassium is more than normal. So really it's just adding sulfur and nitrogen again. So I'm just going to fertilize everything like I did last year. Bought the weed barriers, bought the sod staples. Those are all sitting in queue. I need to go through and pick out indigo seeds. I just submitted a permit request, because you have to submit a request to get approval to then pay to have a permit to plant ornamental cotton. So I just did that for my uncle's farm. So whenever I hear word back from them, I'll ask him if he still wants to fool around with that. And if so, I'll pay the 40 bucks out of pocket, plant stuff there, and see how they do in on a modern productive farm on good soil, and see if they produce any better. At the moment, I am ginning cotton. I have been ginning cotton for going on 19 hours now, total gin time. That's without downtime or breaks in there. So it's 19 hours straight of ginning. And, the gin works pretty good. It's only operating at about 10% efficiency because I can only use it one-handed because I had to... I don't know why I'm telling you this now. I'll just cut right here to me actually showing you me ginning, because I'm about done with that stuff. Alright, you're going to have to forgive the horrendous lighting, but that's all I got going for me, and I'm not moving this gin outside at 9 at night, so... But, yeah. Here's the treadle gin. You've seen it before. However, it's new and improved with an electric drill, which you can't quite see in the frame. There it is. But got that on there now because the treadle just was not working out. It's got way too much friction on it. It takes all of my effort just to keep this treadle running the whole time, and I do not have the physical coordination or the mental capacity to run this gin while also feeding cotton and listening for seeds going through the back of it, making sure lint doesn't get caught up in the axles and all that other jazz that goes into ginning this cotton. So I just said, screw it, I'm not going to get through this if I don't. It's already March, I'm going to get this done. So I just chucked up the cordless electric drill and put a little mounting block down here in the bottom and zip tied it to it, and it works perfectly. So yeah, So that's been working great. So far I've been ginning for about 19 hours now. This takes forever. This gin is only running at about 10% of its maximum capacity, and that's because the lap board isn't quite working properly, but that's the smallest thing out of it. I don't have a foot trigger for this drill, so I have to do it by hand, so I'm down one hand. On top of that, because these rollers aren't concentric, because that guy messed up my order, I really can only use this part of the gin. About this 3-inch section right here is all that really does work, and about a half-inch section right here, but I don't work over here because this always gets caught underneath the roller. So all of my ginning has to happen here. So I'm down a hand. I only have 3 inches to work with. The lap board lets lint through if I let it build up on the back end. It gets caught up under this axle, and I have to stop, and I take this set of tweezers and pick it out of here. Whew. And then the thing that really slows me down the most is the moting. Well, that comes before I even start ginning. I have to go through each one of these and pick out, see these seeds? These gross, nasty brown ones? I've got to pick all of the rotten lint out. This feels like a bad seed, so I have to pull this seed out and discard it into a trash bucket, and then pull these out, fluff it up like this. Actually, that's also a bad seed. Fluff it up like that, get it all ready for the gin, and then put that into a whipped. And this is in traditional cotton preparation. This is whipping and moting. So pulling out the trash, that's moting. Fluffing this stuff up for the gin, that's whipping. So I have to do all of that by hand, and this is what really limits me. Because I also don't have a hopper here, because I don't have a full gin surface to work with, I can't just controlled feed the cotton in here across the whole surface. I can only feed it here, which limits the amount I can put in there. If I put too much in there, it pulls the gin apart, and then it won't function properly, and I have to stop, back it out, pull half of it out, then do it again. But if I feed it and I found out that if I feed it between 3 and 5 seeds at a time in a cluster, it works just fine. So without further ado, let's actually try and gin some stuff so I can show you how it works. And then I'm going to also film the back side of this roller, because I have no idea what this looks like coming out of the back. And also right here I just have a little mixing bowl right there to catch the lint. That thing works perfect. I have no plans to change that. And just down here to catch the seeds, I've got this bowl that sits right there, and they just fall right into that, and that's been working perfectly. So as janky as that looks, this actually is not slowing me down at all. It's the gin itself that's keeping me back. So as you can see, I've got all of this moted, and what I do at this point is I take all of the whipped moted cotton and I plop it down over here into this microgram scale, and I record the weight to the nearest 100th of a gram. Jot that down. And then I take all of the chaff, as I'm calling it, the trash before the final trash, and I measure that too. Jot down that weight. And then proceed with the ginning. And I also measure the total weight of all of this before I touch it, right after I pull it out of the bag. And then after I'm done ginning it, I measure the weight of the seed, I measure the weight of the lint, and then I measure the weight of all the trash combined after I've gone through and picked out anything else, any other trash that shows up, any stain, lint, that sort of stuff. And I'm collecting all the data so I can look at it and see whether or not any of the plants are significantly better producers as far as lint to seed ratio, or seed to lint ratio, or the max, or they have less trash that they're producing, whether or not the time of year that they're producing has an effect on trash or immature seeds, stained cotton, bull rot, that sort of stuff. And that'll really help me with the seed selection when I go to plant here in a month. And the reason why I'm doing this so late is because I procrastinated, and not because of anything that was actually holding me back. So without any further ado, let's actually gin. As you can see, works just fine. And so I'm going to reposition the camera so you can see the backside, because this is one of the smallest bags of cotton I had. This was only 6 1/4 grams worth of fruit produced. I had one 44D, that one really big plant I kept harping on. That one produced 73 grams, so more than 10 times this amount for one plant. So there was a very, very big spread. But 44D looks a lot better than I thought it did. I thought it was not producing like any fruit at all, but it produced by and far more than any other plant. There's only one other plant, 2.6, that came anywhere near 44D. So even though 44D was on the unfertilized, unirrigated row, in the worst possible place, getting absolutely abused, no care taken towards it, it reached a massive size and it produced more lint than anything else. The fiber, it also had an above average lint to seed ratio as well. The fiber does just, to me, it feels like it's shorter though, so I will have to look into that in more detail. Alright, that's all she wrote. Right, here's my gin seed, and here's my gin lint. It's a creamy eggshell white color. It's incredibly soft, incredibly fine, just silky smooth. I mean, it's luxurious. It's gorgeous. I don't know what else to say. I mean, it's just it's beautiful seeing this after all this work. To finally have something I can put in my hand, I can't even fathom seeing this in some kind of article of cloth. It's just so fine and nice. It's gorgeous. And I'm happy to say I finally have it. I'm glad the gin works. It needs a lot of improvements. I need to work on these rollers. This end is kind of bulged out. I might be able to sand this and be able to get a functional rest of this roller. Need some little holes to stick these things in so that they're not just laying on top. Need to work out a hopper system. Need to work out some sort of foot button for a drill. I don't think I'm going to go back to the treadle, but I am going to put the treadle back on once I'm done ginning. So this was 410 right here, so I've only got 11, 12, and 13 left. I've only got 3 plants left to gin, and then I'll be done. I'll be ready to go through here, analyze all the data, figure out what plants I'm going to plant, and then I'll be showing you the installation of the 2020 fields here shortly. Tom out.